It actually feels like Christmas Day, like actual Christmas Day, but it's not. It's Friday the 22nd of September 2023, aka iPhone 15 release day. So iPhone package firmly in hand. I wasted no time in getting straight in. Looks like they switched the Pro boxes to white because I remember them being black before. But anyway, one thing that is black is my new iPhone. I decided to go with the black 1TB model, which actually is the biggest memory I've ever had in a phone. Inside the box you get the SIM ejector and the usual papers, and of course the Apple sticker. The new USB-C lead has a threading type feel to it, and I'm hoping this new design will help the leads last longer. Now onto the best bit, unsticking the screen sticker, and look at that. Oh my, it looks so good. I even went outside to see it shimmer in the natural light, and yes, beautiful. Anyway, the last iPhone I actually had was the 12 Pro, and a year ago I switched to Samsung and got the Fold 4. So it's now time for the fun and games of transferring everything back. Okay, so it's the next day now, as in the 23rd of September. So I've had a full day with it, and let's just say it feels so good to be back with an iPhone. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's all been great as much as I would love to, because it hasn't. There's been a few things that I've noted that I'm not 100% with, which I'll come on to later in the video. So last night I was actually able to charge my iPhone using my Samsung lead, because you can do that now thanks to the EU regulators pushing Apple to USB-C, which also means I don't need to change any of the leads in my car. So with the new USB port on the iPhone, you're able to plug other devices into it and use the iPhone as a power bank, which I thought was exciting, fresh and new. And so I spoke to my Samsung mates last night, who told me that they've been able to do that for some time on their phones. So yeah, but now you can do it on an iPhone. The new rounded edges, the matte texture on the back, I know everyone's banging on about it, but until you hold it in your hands, like, you just can't understand how good it feels to have in your hand. One of my favorite feeling iPhones has to be this, the iPhone XS. I just loved the way it felt in your hand, like the round edges, it was thin, it was great. And it's important for a phone to feel great in your hands because it spends most of the day there. And with the 15 Pro, although it's not obviously as thin as this, the new rounded edges do make a difference. Like they do, you know, when you're holding it in a certain way for some time, like I said, the 12 Pro was the iPhone I had before this, which had straight edges, and yeah, there were times where I'd get like indents in my finger because it was just quite sharp on the edge. It was actually from the iPhone 12 models that they brought back the straight edge, and when I say brought back, let's not forget iPhones 1, 2 and 3 had round edges, 4 and 5 had straight edges, 6 to 11, minus 9, because that really was never a thing, had round edges, and 12 to 14, straight edges. The weight of the 15 Pro in your hands feels perfect. I know this is going to sound weird, but I was worried that it was going to be a bit too light. Like, I don't know how to describe it. Like, you do want some weight to a phone. Like, you don't want it to be like just too light. But in their presentation, they said that the 15 Pro would be the lightest Pro model they've ever made, but that's not entirely true, because according to their own website, the 15 Pro and the 12 Pro are exactly the same in weight, but it is 19 grams lighter than the 14 Pro. So the bezels are slightly thinner, giving you a tiny bit more screen size. But listen, like, you don't look at the phone and think, oh my God, that screen size is so much more bigger because they've reduced the bezels. Like, you just don't even notice it. To be honest with you, if they hadn't have mentioned anything about the bezels being smaller, I wouldn't have even noticed. I'm sure if I had a 14 Pro side by side next to it, I mean, I might be able to tell, like looking very closely at it, but I don't have a 14 Pro, so I can't really do a side-by-side. But yeah, it's not like a massive noticeable difference. So I'm actually excited to use Apple Pay, because Samsung Pay or Google Pay or whatever it is so that I've been using on my Fold 4 that, yeah, it's going to be good to get back to Apple Pay, but it seems to be a little bit of a queue to get in. Can I get a Big Mac meal, please? Okay, let's talk about the chip. And I don't mean this chip. Oh. And I don't mean this chip. I'm talking about the chip that's inside this. The A17 Pro chip. The first Pro chip they've put in an iPhone. Now, I'm not a pro with all these numbers when it comes to chips, and they could put Pro after anything and I'd be sold. But in their presentation, they mentioned the neural engine is twice as fast, allowing it to process up to 35 trillion operations per second. Can we just take a moment to pause here? 35 trillion, as in trillion. So basically, it's like having a desktop in your pocket. I haven't done any hardcore gaming on the phone yet, but from what I have done with video and picture editing, playing around with loads of different apps, it's fast. Like, whatever they've done, bravo, because you can feel it. Everything is very responsive when you're typing, when you're scrolling. I remember when you used to have loads of apps open on the phone, it would start to get very laggy. Obviously, it's only been a day, but so far, so good. One of the biggest headliners they banged on about across all the new phones was the camera system. So I've now arrived in central London to test it out. London touchdown, coming straight from the 15 Pro. Audio, visuals, what's it saying? It's quite windy. Can you hear the wind? Can you not hear the wind? Welcome. Right, we're gonna take a little walk down here, which is gonna take us to Oxford Street and then on to Regent Street. People, 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 people. Oh, it's 4 seconds to cross, 4 seconds to cross. Let's do a little run on, see how that stabilisation works. Would you look at that, look where we've ended up. If you can't see, this would be a perfect time for me to test the zoom. So let's go to 2 times. Let's go to 3 times. Look at that. Let's go to the max. See if you can see inside the store. Oh, it's cute. You know what? I thought there was going to be a line outside. I can't see no line. Finally, I've got a little bit of sun. Let's test out this sun. So apparently, there's a coating on the lens which is supposed to help with the glare that we used to get. It's quite sunny right now, so I can't really see through the lens, but yeah. Goodbye, Samsung. Goodbye. No regrets. Okay, so everything you're seeing is straight out the phone. The quality is good, the colors are good, the detailing is good. Some of the clips are a bit overexposed. Can you tell it's shot on an iPhone? Yes. Am I blown away so far? No. You still get that annoying vibration effects when moving the phone too fast or when using the zoom lenses. There still is some glare that comes in from the sun, as you can see in this clip. The audio quality is okay, it just sounds like normal phone quality. Now, it was a very, very windy day, so it will be interesting to see how it performs without the wind. But when you're shooting outside, even if you actually can't feel any wind, sometimes microphones pick up the smallest amount. If you listen to this clip, it literally sounds like I'm underwater. As I got closer, I could see through the window, and it was mad busy. Mad busy. I did expect there to be a queue, which there wasn't, but yeah, inside the actual store, mad busy. But it was just so windy. Something to keep in mind if you're planning on shooting outside, because something like this clip is just not usable. I will be doing a much more in-depth review on the camera and the camera settings, so it will be interesting to see how it performs in different conditions like low light, so watch out for that. Here are some photos I took which I'm actually more impressed with than the videos. This would be a perfect opportunity to test out the front-facing camera whilst I talk about the action button. Now you're probably wondering why I haven't even mentioned the action button so far, and to be honest, it's because I'm not really that bothered about it. Maybe I'm the only one, but yeah, I've actually kept it as the mute switch. I'm sure later down the line I might assign it to something. It's just I'm so used to having it as a mute switch back when I had the 12 Pro, and there's not really anything I thought, I wish I could access that faster than the couple of seconds it actually takes me to do it through the phone. Everything I've spoke about so far is what I like, but what's not been so good? If you thought the new titanium finish would eliminate fingerprints, then you're in for a shock. I know what you're going to say, it's because you got the black one, and yeah, you're right. So definitely something to keep in mind if you're thinking of getting one. My mum has the natural titanium finish and you can hardly see any marks around the side like you can on the black. The battery hasn't been as great as I would have expected. I know on the first day you're using it a lot more than normal with transferring things over and setting everything up, but even when I had finished doing all that and was just doing normal bits, the battery seemed to drop quite quick. The always on display that's supposed to stay always on has turned off twice for no reason. Transferring all my data over to the iPhone wasn't a smooth process. In fact, I had to restart the process 3 times because the phone just froze up. And I know I was coming from Android, but when I was setting up my mum's phone who was switching over from another iPhone, we had to restart the process twice, and in the end had to do the backup from iCloud instead of from iPhone to iPhone. The phone has overheated several times. In fact, when I was filming the shots for this video, it got really hot, but even when I haven't been doing heavy stuff on it, it started to get very warm. Obviously, I've only had the phone for a short amount of time, so it's not really 100% true reflection, so only time would tell. That being said, am I glad I switched back to Apple? Yes. Do I love the new iPhone? Yes. Will you subscribe for more iPhone videos? Yes.